live.
Well, you go, Taz.
Oh, I thought you. Hi, welcome to the Pitch Side Chronicles. I am Tats. I am Rob. I'm here with Donald, and I am still on vacation, obviously.
I'm taking over this thing. You just said you were Tats and Rob in the same sentence. Welcome to the Pinstripe Chronicles. It's Tats, Rob, and Donald. And Tats is clearly back from vacation because he's still on. He's not back yet, but we're going to break down an article from Bob Klapisch because he's blaming us, or the Yankees are blaming us for what's about to happen this offseason. So we're going to get right into that right here on Northeast Streaming Sports.
So Donald came across this article from Bob Klapisch and about how the fans are the problem. And Donald, do you want to just dive in and give us some of the highlights from the article?
Yeah, so obviously it starts off with if Judge leaves the Yankees, it won't be just because of money, and it won't be tied to another disappointing October. Judge hates losing, but there's more going on here. I actually believe Judge would be okay pushing the rock uphill again in 2023, were it not for the souring relationship between the Yankees and their fans. The marriage deteriorated rapidly during the playoffs, but make no mistake, the booing started much earlier over the summer. By season's end, some players, this is the one that really gets my goat. By season's end, some players and even members of the front office were wondering which side the ticket buyers are actually on.
Basically, the Yankees front office does not know if the fans are booing because they're just anti-Yankees or are they booing because we suck. How do you not understand why the fans are booing? Your product was awful for the final maybe 2.5 or maybe month and a half of the season because they picked it up at the right time to win the division. But for basically all of August and for a good chunk of September, the team was dreadful. They were unwatchable. They sucked. And if it wasn't for Aaron Judge putting the team on his back and having that home run chase, people probably would have stopped showing up to the stadium. And so now you have the front office, multiple members of this front office that are confused as to why the fans are booing. Are they rooting for us or are they rooting for the other team? I don't remember exactly who we played, but there's no way a bunch of Tampa Bay Rays fans or Toronto Blue Jays fans migrated to Yankee Stadium to boo the New York Yankees. It just doesn't happen. Maybe if the Dodgers had come to town, you would hear that because Dodgers fans are everywhere. They travel very well. They're very passionate. They will make their presence felt. It's not happening with a lot of these other teams in the American League. So the Yankees front office is doing everything they can to smear the fans and point the blame at us as the reason why Aaron Judge might walk. Not the fact that they've had every opportunity to re-sign him. It's our fault.
That's right. It is a smear campaign. Well said.
That's really what it is. And yes, fans were booing not because we don't like the team or we don't like that player. We were unhappy with their performance. That's the difference. It's okay to boo a performance just as much as we cheer a good one. So when you show up and you go, and you were playing at the regular season level that Judge was playing on, there was no reason to boo boo him at all. He didn't get booed in the middle of the home run chase. If he didn't get that big hit, we didn't boo him if he didn't get a home run. We were booing because he was just absolutely absent in the postseason.
I think it was in general. I don't even think we're booing him. I don't think we were targeting him. I think it was a general boo. It was like the team has struck out 40 times, and so we're just kind of venting. It's been targeted as
It's not just. It wasn't just Judges before. Everybody was getting booed.
Yep.
So you know what? The Yankees need to grow some freaking backbone and understand that this is just the way New York sports is. Was it a little more? Was it a little more noticeable this postseason? Absolutely, especially after the regular season that we had. The way that we started, the way that we bounced back after an abysmal summer, to still win the division and then just to almost get ousted by Cleveland and then get absolutely embarrassed by Houston. Yeah, we booed. And they
Right.
deserve
Let's get more into this article. One executive told me it's never been this bad, confirming recent reports of Yankees contacting their agents about the crowd's behavior during the postseason.
Too bad, so sad. Play better. That's it. Play better. That's all they had to do.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Why would anyone want to cheer that product? We are watching a team that has beaten us twice in the postseason during this championship window. That this front office started early. They started this window. This is their baby. This is Brian Cashman's team. This is the Baby Bombers, the team that he wanted. The analytics put this team together, right? And the Houston Astros have had our number each and every single time. Buzzer or not, trash can or not, they are better than us every single time they play us. When it matters, they beat us. And here we are again with a chance to get rid of that. What was the term they were using? Slay the dragon, right? That is the Houston Astros. And they sweep us. We get swept. We get embarrassed. And the last two games in our own house, they are outplaying us, outmanaging us, doing everything better than we are. Outpitching. Not by a ton, but outpitching us. Why would we cheer? Of course they're going to boo that. They're paying tons of money for memorabilia, for tickets, of course, for the chicken buckets, for the drinks and everything. And they want to see their team put up a fight in October. They didn't even put up a fight until the very last game. And then they blew that too. What am I going to cheer for?
Yeah.
Right?
So, anyway, people I spoke to during the season say Judge was taken aback by the way certain teammates were treated. Here we go. Hal Steinbrenner. That's why I wonder if Hal Steinbrenner realizes the enormity of the task in front of him. The owner has to be more than just the market's highest bidder. Steinbrenner needs his superstar to believe A, the Yankees are not headed for a downturn, and B, the stadium will continue to be an attractive destination for future free agents and not a cauldron where the home team gets skewered by its own fans. Imagine writing that and actually writing that with a straight face, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so he finally gives us a little bit of kudos. I get why outsiders would be mystified by this. First of all, most Yankee fans are extremely loyal. And let's face it, Judge isn't just popular, he's practically a cult hero. Second, some fans will boo who will just tell you they're sick of watching a runner-up. They're not raising a middle finger at any particular Yankee, which is what I said, but to an overall trend in the post-George era. Since the last World Championship in 2009, the Bombers have been watching on TV, while the Giants 3 times, the Red Sox twice, won multiple titles, the Cardinals, Royals, Cubs, Nationals, Dodgers, and Braves all have rings as well. The Yankees, nothing. The impatience in the stands is understandable. The fans pay handsomely to watch this team. The Bombers, here's another thing. The Bombers led the American League in attendance in 2022, which is all home team can ask for. And I would actually, instead of saying can ask for, should ask for. What more could they possibly ask for? We sell out every single day to watch your team. What could you possibly complain about? But here's when it gets ridiculous. Like the rest of the Yankees, Judge picked up on the fans' treatment. He is a clubhouse leader, but also its eyes and ears. He rallied the Yankees in defense of Joey Gallo, whom they knew didn't belong in this market. The outfielder batted 159 and struck out nearly half his at-bat, suffering from anxiety issues that only worsened with the vicious booing. No, so I've got to take issue with that. So that's insinuating that Yankee fans are targeting Joey Gallo because he's got an anxiety issue. I mean, honestly, when Joey Gallo was striking out every single at-bat, it wasn't, oh, he's got an anxiety issue, I'm going to target him and make him feel even worse. Why would you think that would ever cross Yankee fans' minds? That's wrong.
No, and it's hard to be, when someone has anxiety, it's very hard to hear constant criticism. So I can understand, because I used to have severe anxiety also, where it would just really hinder my day-to-day activities, because it's always in the back of your head. Just something as simple, for example, like tying your shoe. If don't get the lace tied the right way, your whole day's going to fall apart. So there is that level when you're dealing with anxiety that you're constantly trying to be so perfect so nothing can go wrong, that nothing goes right. And I think that's what happened with Joey Gallo as far as his on-field performance.
It's more the fact that Klapisch was indicating that somehow that was even in any thought of the Yankee fans' minds that this vicious booing was somehow like connected with his anxiety issues. It was nothing to do with his anxiety issues. The guy just wasn't performing. That's all we care about. Give me a freaking break. And I didn't even know about his anxiety issues. That wasn't even presented when he was first traded here. Oh, by the way, Yankee fans, he's got a mental condition. We got to be cool about this. It was none of that. It was got Joey Gallo, who's a fucking 40 home run hitter that bats 900 OPS. And when he was striking out 90% of the time, well, what else are we going to do? So I took issue with that. But here we go. It gets worse.
It does?
No, yeah, a lot worse. No one bothered to consider Gallo's makeup would never fit. The more he struggled, the more teammates felt sorry for him, Judge included. The players were also aghast at the way the slumping Aaron Hicks was taunted by chants of Joey Gallo once the failed left fielder was finally traded. Hicks replaced Gallo as the new public enemy number one. Teammates were also disturbed by IKF's father being threatened on social media. One member of the organization said, even if it's a small number of crazies, word gets out around the league. Players from other teams talk about it. Eventually, you'll get free agents who ask, do I really want to play for the Yankees? Give me a break. This is absolutely just disgraceful smear campaign, as Rob says. But here we go. The game has changed in 20 years. Unlike, say, Derek Jeter's crew, today's stars hear it at the ballpark and on social media. Players say they don't check Twitter, but family members often do. The insults are more personal and unrelenting than ever. So again, once again, so we've got the Yankee fans are personally insulting, unrelenting, vicious. They're vulgar. They're skewering. The words that the word choice he is using to just absolutely destroy this Yankee fan base. I've got major issues with. I think it's insulting. It's insulting to read this.
No, it is insulting, but it also maybe fans, some fans, like you said, like you said in the article, some of the the small amount of crazies. Maybe they does need to have the fans step back and just realize it's just a game. Not to be so. A Yankees win or a loss is not going to really change your life. It's really not going to have that much of an effect. So, you have your frustrations. We have our show that we're able to come on the day after every game, voice our frustrations or our excitement over the previous performance. Some people don't have that. They go to social media and they just put everybody on blast. Maybe the social media aspect of it has gotten so toxic that it is spreading throughout the league that the New York fans, if you're not perfect, they're going to make your life miserable. And that may have an effect on free agency. I think it would be 0.5% of players are going to think about that, because let me tell you, money talks. So
there, you just said it in one, man. Money talks. So you telling me that if the Yankees offered more than far more than the second highest bidder, that player will go, I don't want to play for the Yankees because their fans boo me?
I think it's a slippery slope. I think it can be, it can be a factor, but I don't think it's going to be as big of a factor as these writers are making it seem.
We've always known this about Yankees fans, though. We know this. Yankee fans suck. Like, let's be honest here. You go on Twitter, you see the nonsense that people say, but the only thing I can agree with on that is the targeting IKF's father. That should never be done. People should stay away from family members, stay away from any of that. Don't get personal. If you want to boo a player, hey, you suck. That's not a freaking personal shot. It's something that's been done for years. People used to say a lot worse back in the day. They called it the Bronx Zoo for a freaking reason. It used to be a lot worse back, but way before I was watching, before Donald was watching, before Bobby Tats was watching. It was a lot worse. People were, I mean, just watch the history it's on the internet about what people did to Roger Maris when he was chasing the home run record.
That's right.
And we're gonna say that, yeah. And people were threatening his life. They were threatening his family. It was happening in the 60s. It was happening in the 50s. It was happening in the 40s, the 70s, and everything. It's been happening everywhere. We're not the only team that does this to its players. It's because it's the New York Yankees that it's happening. It's going to happen in Kansas City. If Kansas City Royals are a winning team and a player that they acquire or sign for big money starts to struggle, they're going to boo him. Every fan base does it. It's not only the New York Yankees. It happens in football. It happens in basketball. It happens in hockey. It happens in soccer. We're not going to talk about what the soccer fans do when their teams
Oh,
lose.
yeah. I mean,
start literal riots.
How soft are these people if they think that Joey Gallo is a taunt? That they should see what happens in Europe when their soccer team loses. Holy moly.
People get killed over soccer games, okay? So let's tone it down and say Yankee fans are the evil of the sports world.
Yeah.
I know that the Yankee fans can be stupid, but every fan base can be stupid. So the article says a couple of crazies, that's understandable. Don't target people's families. Don't say, I'm going to do so-and-so to you if I ever see you, because we know 100% of the people that say, if I ever saw you in the street, I would say something. We know that's not going to happen.
No, they're the first ones to go, can I have your autograph? Yeah.
We know it's not. Yeah, we know it's not going to happen. But the fact that they're saying that, like, Joey Gallo was very, like, complimentary about the fans in a way when he got traded. He's like, I wish it could have been better. I wish they would have had a reason to cheer me. He wasn't saying, yeah, they were relentless, man. Oh, man, I hated it there. He wanted to stay there. He said it. He's like, I wish it could have worked out better. I wish I performed better. So why is Clappish now, months later, saying, it's your fault. His anxiety went up because of you. I never want to go.
I think it's sorry, but I think it's Hal Steinbrenner's PR firm. I really do. I think Hal Steinbrenner's trying to change the narrative because they're about to lose Aaron Judge. Here's the last part of the article. He seemed unfazed by the treatment, telling reporters after Game 4, the booing is nothing new. But here we go. Something was different about his reaction to the sweep. Unlike past setbacks in October, Judge was more clinical than emotional this time. He said goodbye to reporters one by one using the past tense. It was fun, wasn't it? We had some good times. I'm sure we'll see each other down the road. The phrasing could have meant nothing, or it confirmed with Judge's determination that his work is done here. He oversaw the ascent of the Baby Bombers in 2017, took them as far as he could, and now sees the coming crash. Maybe Judge considers the boos a foreshadowing of what's ahead in 2023. If so, it might already be too late for Steinbrenner's checkbook to save the day. That article, well, I think Elliot is actually basically saying here, I think Hal is consulting with a PR firm to deal with the fallout when Judge ultimately rejects what will likely be an underwhelming offer. I think, Elliot, I am in 100% agreement with you because I do. I mean, listen, I think I do know that Bob Clappish has an inside source with Hal Steinbrenner. He wrote a book called Inside the Empire, and Hal let him in Bob Clappish in his circle. So I would not be surprised. I'm not saying this is for a fact, but I'm just saying I would not be surprised if certain members of the media who's close with Hal Steinbrenner are going to get these kind of tidbits, how evil Yankee fans are, to change the narrative and take it away from the fact the Yankees completely botched this Aaron Judge thing. Completely botched it.
Go ahead, Tats. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just I think that what Spencer was saying. It's Hal's just planting that seed to show that we offered him what we did in the regular season. Before the regular season started, we're just going to up it a little bit to kind of sweeten the pot, but not give him offer a contract he deserves, and then. Like we've been hearing throughout, he's just going to spin and say, well, Judge just wasn't happy with the fan base, so it's not my fault. I'm sorry. Then if that's going to be your approach, then just step down as the owner. Just step down because you've completely lost all faith in the fan base that you have any competency at all.
So let's go through it. So obviously it started with the fact that members of the front office are wondering which side that we're on. Anybody in the front office who thinks that should not be employed. Let's be honest, because they are working under the wrong. Well, they're working in the wrong job title for one, and they're targeting the Yankee fan base, who's your paying customers. If you start skewering your paying customers, it's a losing battle. You're not going to win this battle. Even as mighty as the Yankee front office is and their PR firm is and their minions are when trying to protect their business model, which is a complete mess at this point, even as strong as they are, they will still lose because you can't target your paying customers. No business can ever survive by basically telling that they're paying customers that they are cruel and they're vicious and they're this, that, and the other, and it's their fault that the good things aren't happening to them. Imagine that as a business model when the Yankee fans sold out Yankee Stadium on a daily basis. They traveled all over the country to watch the Yankees. And that was even before Aaron Judge's 62 home runs. It wasn't just because of Aaron Judge, but they traveled all over the freaking country to watch this team. They sold out Yankee Stadium every freaking day. The Mets couldn't do that. Even when Timmy Trumpet was playing his freaking trumpet, they couldn't sell out. They couldn't sell out the Citi Field. But Yankee Stadium was sold out every freaking day. But no thanks to the Yankee fans, because the Yankee fans are evil. And we were allowed. Even Aaron Judge complimented us, the fans, for how loud they were at the DS. Remember when he kissed the badge? He said afterwards that was for the fans because the fans showed up and showed out. But somehow, 2 weeks later, we're getting articles that were vicious. We're targeting people with anxiety issues. We're leaving players aghast. We're forcing players to contact their agents trying to get out of here. It's a smear campaign, and I'm not standing for it. And I don't want any fan to actually believe it because I don't think it's freaking true. I'll
read something that I saw on Twitter here from, I don't know if I can say the second part of her name, Yankees Salute. Yeah. We'll just call her that. If the Yankees don't sign Aaron Judge, put out a fourth-place team in 2023, and tell their fans that it's their fault, that'll be the most dangerous marketing decision they will have ever made since George Steinbrenner purchased the team. She's absolutely right. Imagine letting the face of your franchise. He is the most important player. And I will say this, and I don't care who disagrees with me, he's the most important player to ever put on the pinstripe since Derek Jeter. And you are going to let him walk. And if you let him walk and say it's our fault for booing, no one is going to go to the stadium next year. And the only way they can try to fix it in any sort of way is if they just tear it all down and rebuild it again. And that means trading everybody. You got to get rid of Stanton. You got to get rid of Cole. You got to get rid of DJ. You got to let Rizzo walk. You got to tear the whole thing down because if you let Judge walk and you put out a team similar to what we have right now, they're not winning 97 games. Aaron Judge literally accounted for 11 wins in WAR. You take him off that team, you're not making the wild card. You'll finish above 500 because you just have too much talent not to, but you're not going to make the playoffs. And if you do, you're going to be a wild card team and get bounced out in the wild card round anyway. So if he lets him walk, she's absolutely right when she says that. It's going to be the most dangerous thing he can do. And they've got to stop blaming the fans for everything because the product on the field is your fault. It is Cashman's fault. You're the one who's putting this team together. You signed these players. You traded for these players. You brought these guys up. You didn't call up certain players when they were clearly better than the guys you had. You let IKF play shortstop every single day. Cashman, Boone, and all these guys. You let Josh Donaldson get key at-bats every single game in the postseason, batting him fourth, batting him fifth. And it wasn't until the last couple of games you decided to drop him in the order. This is your fault. You passed up on the best free agent class in 2019 and 2022 when you told us shortstop was a key position. You passed up on all these different players to start IKF at shortstop. This is your fault. It's not our fault. That's why we're booing, because everything that this team has done and has failed to do since 2009, 13 years, we have not been to a World Series. It's a big drought, especially for a team with as much prestige as we have, of course we're spoiled. We want to see more. You're going to tell us it's our fault when the reality is it's your fault. It's a terrible excuse. It's a terrible smear campaign. And if you let Judge walk, the most important player to put on those freaking pinstripes since Derek Jeter, there will be backlash from this fans, and you can guarantee you're not going to be the top selling team in the American League again.
Rob bringing the fire. The truth is, you're 100% right. Let's not forget, Brian Cashman's had about 4 years to offer Aaron Judge an extension.
Yep.
And then passed on all those opportunities using some sort of injury excuse, but yet you extend Aaron Hicks, who's still got another 3 years on his deal, might I add. Complete albatross. But we get to the previous offseason, and their excuse for not going after anybody to improve the team was because they needed to re-sign Aaron Judge. But yet you undercut him with offers which were way below the AAV that he's asking for. He was asking for about 35, 36, and the Yankees were holding fast at 30. And then when it was rejected, Brian Cashman went public to embarrass him.
Yeah.
And then, as Bob Clappish says here, that the fans were booing Aaron Judge at the start of the year. Well, maybe you should also add some context to that. He was being booed because the Yankee fans, some of them, were brainwashed into thinking that Aaron Judge was some sort of greedy player for turning down that contract. That was precisely what Brian Cashman's agenda was. Brian Cashman had an agenda. He was butthurt because he failed to tie down their best player, and so decided to make it a personal thing and embarrassed Aaron Judge. That's why Aaron Judge has an issue with the Yankees right now. It's nothing to do with the fans. It's not because they were booing. And maybe he's a little bit pissed off that fans were overly booing some of his friends in the team. I don't know, possibly, but I'll tell you what has nothing to do with his thinking right now. His thinking was that he had an opportunity to tie down with the Yankees, and the Yankees failed to give him what he felt he deserved. And he had every right to go into free agency, but the Yankees embarrassed him publicly and then made it out like he was greedy. And the fans were pissed off at that. I mean, that is horrible, horrible work from your general manager, and that is a botched job, right? But we're not hearing any of that. I've not seen any of that mentioned by Clappish, by Joel Sherman, and all these guys who are crawling all over themselves to defend Brian Cashman. Brian Cashman put us in this hole.
No,
He's wasted the prime years of Garrett Cole. He's wasted the prime years of Giancarlo Stanton. Aaron Judge is now 30, and we've made it one World Series, and he's just hit 62 freaking home runs because he's built a substandard roster. But it's the fans' fault for being pissed off like that.
Yeah, it's just a joke.
Freaking break.
Yeah, anybody else in any other team, Cashman would have been out on his ass a long time ago. It wouldn't have even gotten to this season. You know, after the change-up that he made in 2016 and failing to deliver, that would have had him ousted. But no, we got to keep going with him because he's related to the Steinbrenners somehow. So, and the reporters aren't going to say anything because they want to be invited back into the clubhouse. They want to be able to sit in the media room and ask him questions. So they're going to play lip service to them. You know, that's why I was saying the other day, the journalistic integrity with these sports journalists is starting to severely diminish.
There is no integrity. There's no integrity anymore.
That's why I think our content creators and fans' role is a very important role. As long as the fans aren't personally doing things like, as you said, targeting IKS father and all that stuff, but that was a very tiny percentage, like maybe 1 to 2 people at most. Not that it's defensible, but I'm saying in general, it's the fans' role to hold the team to account, because if they won't hold themselves to account, then that's what our role is. We have to hold them to account.
Yeah. You also
wasted prime. Yeah, CC's prime. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's that's what it is. It's been rinse and repeat with this freaking team. It's not even the team; it's the GM. The GM's time is up. But to like what Hector was saying on the show the other day, do you let Cashman walk at the risk of not having a GM to sign Judge and he signs elsewhere? Is it worth if that's what it takes to get a new GM? Was it worth it? That's the question.
Rob, what are you thinking on that?
If they let Cashman walk, I don't think I'm at this point with all this news that's coming out about Judge, I'm starting to really I was 100% sure he'd be back. I still want to keep that hope alive that he'll be back, but if they don't bring him back, they got to tear it down. And if they go, they got to get a new GM. They've had to get a new GM for a while. So I think Cashman needs to go, but we know he's not. They've already had preliminary talks, and people are thinking, oh, they're going to let Cashman walk and promote whoever's under him, which would be a terrible idea because he's the same person. It's just like rinse and repeat if you let Cashman go and bring up his understudy. So, I mean, I guess if it means the organization will be in a better place 5 years from now, if they let Cashman walk and the cost is Aaron Judge, and we put together a really good system of players that are going to come up and perform well. Is Aaron Judge replaceable right now? No.
Nope.
But 5 years down the line, can we have a team without Aaron Judge that competes for a championship? Maybe. But the right people have to be in place to put that together, and it ain't here right now.
Well, yeah, so there was a really good, interesting tweet that I'm not sure if Rob saw. I replied to it. It was by @Michigan Yankees. If Aaron Judge leaves, what would the Yankees have to do for you to be content with their offseason? So my reply was tear it down, trade every major – it's basically word for word what Rob just said. Tear it down, trade every major contract with full value, fire Cashman and Boone, commit to a full rebuild around Volpe, Peraza, and Oz. I says, it sounds drastic. Well, they already wasted Judge, Cole, and Stanton's prime. Rizzo said we'd be a last-place team without Judge. So you can't really gaslight the fans and run it back without him, saying that we have a chance of competing with those big contracts minus their best player. There's no way you can really sell that. So I would then commit to a full rebuild and then start from scratch, even if we lose for a couple of years while we develop. Kids, that's the thing. What these beat writers who call us all these horrible, reactionary, cruel, evil fans, I don't mind if we lose as long as we have a direction. I mind that we're losing while we have no direction. And that's what I'm pissed off at. Yes, I'm pissed off that it's been 13 years without a World Series, but that's because their MO is that it's World Series or bust, and they've not done it in 13 years. And that's their MO. If their MO was, I'm just happy to make the playoffs, then we would be in that same boat. But if you're telling us that it's win or bust and you're not winning, then you're failing in your modus operandi. So why is that the fans' fault? So that's one thing. Another thing, they've got two things going at the same time where they've got all these phenomenal players like Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, Stanton, Rizzo, right? But they don't go that extra mile to make sure that they're a winning team because they have to hold on to certain prospects who there's not even a chance that some of them aren't even going to work out. And that's on Brian Cashman. So you can't do two things at once going, I'm going to develop my rookies but not have a plan for them, but I'm also going to keep all these high-priced veterans and I'm going to try and win with them at the same time. You can't do two things at once and win a World Series that way. I've never seen a team do it before. And so it's all on Hal Steinbrenner, all on Brian Cashman. It's nothing to do with the fans. It's insulting to be even having to read that and think that the reason why Aaron Judge might leave is because fans are unfair to their own team. And it's just insulting. Loyal fan base, really. But I would do that, man. I would, if Aaron Judge left, which God forbid, but if he was, then I would tear it down, as Rob says. Taz, what would you do?
No, I would tear it down. I think it's gotten to the point, and with Cashman, you see this a lot with managers, and I think it has to also apply to GMs. Like when they let Girardi walk, should he have gotten one more year? Yeah, but sometimes it's just time to move on. Not that it's necessarily broken beyond repair, but sometimes you just need a change, just to make a change. That might be where the Yankees are with the GM. Cashman's had this position for too long. He's too comfortable. He's got this bubble around him where it doesn't matter what he does. He knows his job is safe no matter what he does.
That's true.
And that is not good for the organization. That is why we're all so frustrated. That's why we boo the way we were booing this year, because we just can't take it anymore. But let's get to some of these comments. There you go. Christopher Flash, Shy Talk. What's going on, Chris? And then some people saying if Cash goes, we're going to miss him. Be honest, I won't. He's done all he could do. if I had the same team with the same result. Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you. See, it's
The
not
definition of
frustrating.
insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting the same result. And a number of Yankee fans have been saying that, and I completely subscribe to that theory because that's exactly what the Yankees have been doing since 2019, where instead of looking internally at what is causing these defeats and not reaching your goal, then they just roll it back and roll it back and roll it out, and then blame other things, blame other factors. So obviously, a couple of weeks ago it was the roof, and it was the wind, and then there was injuries, and now it's the fans being mean, and then it was COVID, and then it was other excuses, and it was other things, and you have to look at yourself. If you're not looking internally at how you can't get better, you will never get better. That's the truth.
They're blaming everything but the problem.
Yep.
They've literally blamed everything they could possibly blame except for themselves. Brian Cashman's been with the Yankees since before I was even alive. I'm 30 years old. I'm old. This is ridiculous. It's time to change it up. Do something different. Get some fresh faces in this organization. There's no reason we should still have a front office that is comprised of people that have been hired from 2007 and before. 2007 was a long time ago, a very long time ago. We're still holding on to these relics in our front office while every other team is getting younger in the front office and they're trying things different. The Houston Astros, who have been the best team in baseball for the last 6 years in terms of continued success, their front office is made up of people that were hired from 2016 or later. Why can't we do the same? Why do we got to hold on to Gene Afterman and Randy Levine's dumbass and Brian Cashman's dumbass? These are guys that aren't doing anything. Guys and men and women who are not doing anything for this organization. We're not winning. We don't want to win. We're not fans that are going to say, I'll take the ALCS. That's okay, because we saw that in 2011, saw it in 2012. Or I'm sorry, 2010 and 2012. We made the ALCS and we weren't happy because we wanted to win a World Series. So why would that change now? I don't want just the ALCS. I want the whole freaking thing. But
that's because we've been conditioned to believe that. If ownership would stop this win or bust thing that they continue to preach every single year, because that has a big role to do with it, man. Other fan bases look at us going, why are they so upset? They make the ALCS. What are they so upset about? They won the division, right? But they've not been. The expectations are different. When you're a Yankee, the expectations are different. It's as simple as that. We're booing the players, but we are mad at the organization. Things got to change. They are too comfortable. This is why we always bring George in, because he was never comfortable. He always wants to win. Chris the Flash is bringing the fire in the chat. Thank you so much. Listen, I think that he's right that the organization's got to change, and they are far too comfortable. And that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I even think we're not targeting individual players apart from the ones that really suck, like Josh Donaldson, Aaron Hicks, and IKF. But in general, it was just a general booing because the organization treat us like we're morons. And that's what really upsets me. They treat us like we're complete morons. What we're seeing isn't what's actually happening. And that's why we're pissed off at the organization. It's not like we have some personal prejudice against people in the front office and that we're just trying to obscure them for no reason. They treat us with complete and utter disrespect. Like, for instance, Aaron Boone telling us that IKF is a Gold Glove shortstop and it's a travesty that he wasn't considered for a Gold Glove. Meanwhile, he doesn't play him in any of the deciding games in the playoffs, right? And yet you're basically gaslighting us, and we're supposed to just go, okay, no problem, when it's quite obvious that Peraza is a much better shortstop. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I think it's gotten to where the best way to break it down is we're not if we're putting out a solid team and we have what's going on, MH? If we have a solid team and we're going against another solid team, Like if we had really battled with Houston and lost in 7, but it was like a hard fought, severe competition, you could accept that. But it's the organization would have nothing to hang to hang their head on. You battled. It's just there's a difference between being outplayed and outclassed. The Yankees in this run with the postseason have been outclassed. That's why we're pissed off.
That's right. There is no way that we should have been swept by the Astros. No excuse for it.
Can't win
it's
one
not
game.
Like we're so terrible a team that we can't take one game off the Houston Astros.
That's why in 2017 we were proud of that team, right? Because no one expected anything.
Exactly.
This year was different. We went on that run, and everyone's like, "Oh, they might eclipse the '98 Yankees record." And then they went on that summer travesty, which was terrible. And then this is what we see in the playoffs. Of course, we're going to boo. We're not going to be proud of that? If they took them to 7, and it was just like Houston got that one big hit that we couldn't. Look, it's like, okay, we understand. Then you could be like, man, if we had LeMahieu and Benintendi, maybe it'd be a little bit different. And you'd be like, you know what? Tip your cap. We hate the Astros, but they beat us. But that wasn't the case. They beat us down. Like they took a baseball bat and a stick and they put us in a burlap sack and just beat the living crap out of us for 4 games. That's what it was. We were abused by the Houston Astros. We weren't beat down. We were abused by them.
But they also willingly put themselves in that position because they had the shortstop, the daily shortstop carousel. They had they sacrificed game 1 on a very winnable tie game where they didn't use any of their elite bullpen arms to try and steal a win. Because it wasn't their favorite matchup, right? So they basically sacrificed game 1 of the CS, and that put them in this hole. And then ever since then, we're playing catch up. And that's what was totally bizarre. So they put themselves in this position. We could have easily stolen a game or 2 off the Astros. But the truth was, we just were not prepared to play them. Now, if we had a better manager and we had a better front office, then yeah, we could have taken them to 7 games. But under this current stewardship, we were always going to get completely and utterly routed. And as Elliot says, getting swept was humiliating. I can't understand how the organization can't understand that reaction. Exactly, it was humiliating. It was absolutely humiliating. It was an embarrassment. You can't get swept, especially with 2 games at home, losing on your home stadium. You can't do it. Elliot's pissed. I love it.
I think Spencer found it humiliating. But no, it's it's so hard to even not winning a game in your own park. It's like, what did you expect us to react? How did you expect us to react like that? Did you want us to be like that picture you saw the 9th inning in Houston, where there's not one person standing cheering? We're on our feet. We're going crazy. If it's the 9th inning in a tight game like that. They're all sitting down having, tea and crumpets for all we freaking know, because they're just at a picnic. They're not at a competitive ball game. It's like, but we're the fans that everybody's getting bashed. How about you get off your feet and cheer your team?
You don't see my lineup comment. Okay, let's get into his. Let's see Chris's lineup here. Okay, here we go. Like the lineup changes, Judge should be batting 3rd. They don't remember the last time we won. Jeter and Damon, then A-Rod. That's how it should be for Judge. You could put Judge in the 2 or 3 hole. I completely agree. I always liked Aaron Judge in the 3 hole. But let's not forget that the Yankees want to be the smartest people in the room. They are completely and utterly enslaved by this modern analytics where human element has no role to play anymore. Well, it's certainly in the Yankee front office. And they're completely tied to the idea that your best player should get the most at-bats. And that's fair enough. But you also want your best player to have a position where he can drive in the most runs. And they weren't doing it with Aaron Judge leading off. That was the stupidest thing I ever fucking seen. Excuse me. And, you can still have him bat 2. You can certainly have him bat 3 and you'd be in a better position. But that's certainly a good point, though.
The only thing I will do to counter that is look at the Phillies because they lead off with Kyle Schwarber. They have their best guys like run after the next.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9 ain't getting on for Judge to drive them in. Well, that's the problem, man. The truth is, right, and I've read some reports where scouts from outside, like baseball scouts from outside the organization, have been saying that the only 3 hitters that they fear in the Yankees is Judge, Rizzo, and Stanton. If you can get through them, then they're pretty comfortable with the rest of the lineup. And so MH is right on. You can maybe have Judge lead off if you actually had a really deep lineup where you had 7, 8, and 9 of just excellent hitters, excellent contact hitters that bat 300 or get on base at a 450 clip. Then hell yeah, let's try it, right? 400 clip. Let's give it a go. But if you've got 7, 8, 9 hitters of punch and Judy hitters or just nothing at all hitters, then when you get Aaron Judge leading off, then he's actually not going to give you anything at all because you've taken away his skill set.
Yep.
No. Judge is in the a-hole, the one hole. Judge is the a-hole. Hal, he's only thinking how low he can go, and I'm confident it will be too low.
Yeah, so pretty much it doesn't matter where he's batting. Hal's going to screw it up anyway. But
think about the lineup though, like our 7, 8, 9. Like we were okay if Trevino was there because he was there for defense. IKF is that kind of hitter. Only thing is they played him at the wrong position, so it affected him defensively, which hurt us. IKF is a perfect hitter to put the bottom of the order because he's that contact guy that's going to get on, and use his speed. Harrison Bader can be that guy. But for a good chunk of the season, we had Aaron Hicks and IKF who was struggling, and Trevino was struggling, and they put Higgy the next day because they just can't have the catcher play 2 days in a row. So, and then Tora, everyone was struggling at the same time. And then going back to the 09 lineup, they had Jeter, Damon, Teixeira, A-Rod. That's fearsome. That's a top 4.
And then, I was just going to say, look at the caliber of the players that were.
Yeah, so compare that. Like, what was after that? Matsui, right? Cano, Posada, Melky. You could put Brett Gardner out there. That was a squad. Like, we don't have that. You don't have – that was a team that should have won, which is why – a certain member of our team talking about Joe Girardi, he's so much better. No, he should have won with that team in 09. If he didn't, that'd be a bigger disappointment than this year. However, getting back to what we're talking about here, we don't have that. We have Judge, Rizzo, who was only good for home runs this year, really, because he wasn't really doing much of anything else, and Stanton, who also had a really rough year post-injury. So who are you fearing in that lineup?
No.
It's Aaron Judge.
No, it's a very easy. It's an easy lineup to navigate. It really is. If you have the right pitcher out there, but it's. Could you imagine if the off season goes right, and Hal and whoever the GM is actually does the right thing? Could you imagine having your 1 through 3 as Benintendi, Bader, Judge? That's the start. That's a 1, 2, 3 that no pitcher would want to deal with.
Then we have speed, but then we don't use it. Exactly. Chris the Flash is on our wavelength. Completely agree, man. Like, I was so annoyed that when we acquired Benintendi, we were not putting him in any position to succeed.
No, they were batting him 5th for some.
They were batting him everywhere in the order.
At him second, put Peraza at the top of the order, Benintendi, Judge. You could get Rizzo back, great. Put him in cleanup for all I care. Stanton, that's a good top 5. And then you can have Volpe eventually come up. You can't forget that Cabrera is going to be in the lineup a lot. He's a switch hitter. All of a sudden, look at that. You got 3 lefties essentially. You don't have to worry about Aaron Hicks. You can have the catcher be your low guy at the bottom of the order because you're not looking for him for offense. And if he provides anything like he did this year, it's a bonus. All of a sudden, the lineup's more deeper because you've added contact, you've added speed. And when Volpe comes up, and he will be here soon, I think it's going to be within the first month. Very, very similar track to what Gleyber Torres took to the majors. The lineup is going to be deep. They need to play Peraza. The team, the success that this team can have next year is already in the organization. You just have to get rid of some of this dead weight that you acquired. You paid Josh Donaldson $25 million. You didn't have to.
No, we already know what they're going to do with Volpe. It's going to be the day after. What is it? May 15th is the day that they get the doesn't count towards their service time. That next day, that's when we're going to see Volpe.
Well, they called up Gleyber at the end of April in 2018, so I think that they're going to let him play a little bit into the spring. And if he has a really good spring, he might force their hand, but they'll let him get some more at bats at the extended spring training, whatever.
Yeah.
And if the infield is struggling or somebody gets hurt, he's going to get called up. Very similar to what they did with Gleyber Torres, because he came up quick. He was like, what, 21 when they called him up? How old is Volpe?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
No,
listen,
I
we
was-
can
I was
talk
on
about
social media. Could you believe he's only 21? Yeah. Okay.
we can talk about all our rookies till the cows come home, but at the end of the day, the Yankees haven't shown any ability to actually develop them or put them in any position to succeed.
Yeah.
We've already just seen our number 2 prospect, Peraza, being sidelined for IKF, and then they were playing him at second base. They were playing him not at all in order to protect IKF's ego, or more, should I actually say their own ego. So that is their number 2 prospect. What are they going to do with Volpe? I don't know. What did they do with Aaron with freaking Hughes, Phil Hughes? Sorry. And what did they do with Ian Kennedy? What did they do with Jobber Chamberlain? They destroyed those 3 guys. So let's cool the brakes on we got all these prospects. Yes, we do. But the Yankees are terrible at developing their great prospects. They're really good until they get to the major league level, but then it completely falls off. Why? Because Brian Cashman got rid of all the coaches and all the smart people that can develop people at major league level. He got rid of Pena. He got rid of, you name it, Larry Boa. You name it. He got rid of them. Rob Thompson. He got rid of all these guys that could develop you at major league level. He got rid of them just so he could put in his little puppets like Aaron Boone, who really doesn't do anything other than just answer whatever he's being told to do. And that's what I'm worried about. So, yeah, we can get Volpe up. We can get Perez up. We can get the Cabrera up. And they're really good. But then when they're asked to take that next step, they won't do it because the development is terrible at major league level. That's why we're pissed at Brian Cashman. It's not that we're such horrible, cruel fan bases that are just spoiled. No, we can see things that just clearly isn't working. That the only top prospect that we've developed is Aaron Judge, and now he's 30. That is the only prospect we've developed in that time, and that's our fault.
History tells us why we should be angry, because Brian Cashman has a terrible history of, like you just said, developing players. So if we were actually smart, we would move on from that and say we have a very good farm system of a lot of guys that can come up as soon as next year and be really good. And then a lot of guys that will be ready the next year that are coming up right behind them. But our current crop of idiots that we have running the show don't know how to use these guys. Because why wasn't Peraza playing as soon as the deadline ended? Why wasn't Cabrera playing sooner than he was? Why did they let Cabrera play every day but not Peraza? It's just what they do. Why were they not riding the hot wave when Florial was hitting? Why were they not keeping Luis Heel up when he was pitching well? Why did they send down Clark Schmidt this year when he was pitching well? Why were they sending down Marinaccio this year when he was pitching well? Well, they have options, but we'd rather hold on to Albert Abreu, who is struggling, but we don't want to get rid of him because Brian Cashman's better than you. So, yeah, we're angry. Of course we're angry because every other team in baseball will call up a prospect and he'll find success and they'll say, well, we can't let you go because you're doing too well right now. But the Yankees say, we're going to manipulate you. And it hurt Clint Frazier. You couldn't trade him for anything. It hurt Miguel Andujar. You couldn't trade him for anything when you had the chance. It hurt Chance Adams because they didn't even want to trade him. And it hurt your opportunity to get so many other players that would have helped you maybe win a World Series because of your stubbornness and the fact that you are just really not that good at your job, despite the Yankees wanting to tell you that he is.
Exactly. And let's not forget that he allowed Garrett Whitlock to go to the Red Sox in the Rule 5 draft.
And Trevor Stefan went to Cleveland.
Why did he do that? Oh, because he stockpiles all these prospects. He doesn't know half of them, to be honest, or he doesn't know what to do with half of them, and he doesn't want to trade them before there's an opportunity to get something for them, so he starts losing them in the Rule 5 draft. But then he also doesn't know which pitchers are going to be the elite ones because he allowed to keep Brooks Kriske,
Nick Nelson,
but lose Garrett Whitlock. Riddle me that.
Whitlock and Trevor Stephon, who's one of Cleveland's best relief pitchers this year, he pitched against us in this series and lit us up.
Yep.
They let both of them walk in the Rule 5, but we kept Krisky, we kept Nelson, we're keeping all these other guys. That's why he's been trading so many of them, so he doesn't lose them in the Rule 5. That's why he traded Wesneski and Waldichuk this past trade deadline. But if you have all these arms and you don't know what to do with them, isn't that a problem?
Yes.
But other GMs are going to find ways to utilize these players in other ways. It's a joke at this point.
Yeah, and I get to some of these comments before we head out for the day. And Crystal Flash again, and cash doesn't cash in on the prospects we have. Then we're bad when it comes too late to get good players. It's absolutely that's exactly it. That's one of the things. That's one of Rob's big talking points throughout the since we've had the show, is the misuse of the Yankee prospects. Not knowing when to trade them, trading them too early, trading them too late. Forcing them down our throats when they can't perform. Cashman has no concept of prospects and how it works. And then I love Stanton, but Harper and Manning should be on this team. I think that's really, should they be? Yeah, when you're watching for this year, the way he's performing.
Could have had Machado and Stanton.
You could have had Machado and Stanton. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. He wants to gaslight us into this carousel of shortstops and third basemen instead of just finding a settled shortstop and finding a settled third baseman that we can ride out with. He thinks that these key positions of the infield are something that you can just go, we'll try Josh Donaldson in this year. IKF, Gleyber Torres, let's try these guys out at shortstop. We're not sure if they can play that position, but
Well, because then they give us the same lip service every off season. It's we need to save our money for the free the next year's free agent market. Well, stop worrying about next year. Just like I was saying stop worrying about the next game. Win the game that you're in now. There's no next. If you lose the series in the postseason, there's no other series to bounce with. And get back on track. That's it. Your season's over. You have to address each offseason like that's the last one. It's only money. They forget that they have the money in the organization to make the moves necessary to make this the best competitive team that we've seen in a long time. But they refuse to do that. They are locked into their shareholders and making sure that they have enough profit so they don't ever have to work again.
And here's what scares me, just to circle back to that article. At that point, that first paragraph, when he said members of the front office don't know which side the fans are on, once again, that's a clear sign that they're far more concerned about optics than they are about their own job performance. And how can they get better? And any good business model always goes, how can we get better? Well, year on year on year, right? Even if they've made a fantastic profit in the stock market, they will go, right, how can we get better? How can we, achieve our next set of goals? But the Yankees don't do that. The Yankees are more obsessed with optics and more obsessed with the narrative that goes on around them, and more obsessed with pointing blame elsewhere than looking at themselves going, right, how can we fix this as an organization, because it's been 13 years since we've been to a World Series. But no, they don't want to do that. They'd rather now blame fans and this, that, and the other thing instead of their own job performance. And I find it shameful. It really is. It's an embarrassment. They should be ashamed of themselves. But they're going to lose that battle at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, the fans are what makes a sports franchise.
Yeah.
I can tell you this right now, Chris. They are not signing Trey Turner. I'd be willing to put like a little bit of money on that. They're not signing Trey Turner.
No,
if they didn't sign Correa or Seager or Simeon or any of the guys from the last. They were not waiting for Trey Turner. I can tell you that, because he's going to cost more than Seager. Trey Turner's miles better than Seager. He's not better than Correa, but he's better than Seager. And Seager got 300 some odd million. So they're not signing Trey Turner.
No, and we'll be diving deeper into that, as the off season goes on, to see who's available after that 15-day mark, who gets their contracts from their teams, That's when that's when the market's really going to open up. But that's going to close things out for us today. Thank you, everybody, for watching on the Pinstripe Chronicles on Northeast Streaming Sports, on YouTube, on Twitch, where you pinch out your pride and play hard.